Tuesday, Chamisha B'Teves, Tovshim Mem Zayin, was the Dam Notzach. And the Rebbe came downstairs unplanned. The place was rocking. They found some heter that of saying Tachna. They found the Psachosen. And by the way, don't even think about saying Tachna on Thursday. And please say it in my name with all the arrogance and all the chutzpah of a young chassid. If you didn't say Tachna, you just kiss it. When you say Tachna, hey Teves, take a time machine and go back and be a chassid of the Alter Rebbe. That's my take. It's not complicated. Our Rebbe somehow is less Rebbe. He's 10 times more Rebbe, 100 times more Rebbe. So if you didn't say Tachna, you just kiss it, because the Chagagol, the Alter Rebbe, that happened in Tovkuf Nuntes, this happened to Tovshim Mem Zayin. I understand, it's not your lifetime, but by Chassidus, there's no question. This is a Chag HaGeula. And in a Chag HaGeula, we don't say Tachna, period. But I want to tell you the more important thing. And this is what's mind-blowing. This is what's mind-blowing, okay? What I am sharing with you now is Siches. Okay? I'm not making up one word. Much of what I'm saying, you have to understand. The actual court case took place from Yutas Kislev until Chanukah Mem Vav, the year before. 1985 to 86. It took exactly a year for the judge to come back with his verdict. In other words, the trial was held through Yutas Kislev and Chanukah. Chanukah finishes Beis Gimel Teves. 1 year later, the judge gave his verdict. During the time that the case was going on, the Rebbe went to the oil every day. 5-6 days a week they went to the oil. Every day there was a case, the Rebbe went to the oil. Now, Kinderlach. Chanukah Tovshin Mem Vov. The Rebbe verbringt Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos, Sunday night. 3 verbringings at the end of Chanukah in Tovshin Mem Vov. Again, I wasn't here. I was in California. I missed all of this. I mean, we heard the hookups, but I wasn't here. What did the Rebbe speak of those verbringings? And again, I want you to understand that I'm not saying one single word of my own. I'm chazering divrei harav. The Rebbe told the story with the Pinchas Koretzer that everybody knows. What's the story with the Pinchas Koretzer? That the Mezritcher Magid was revealing Chassidus more than the Baal Shem Tov. And a page of Chassidus in the Mezritcher Magid ended up on the floor. Pinchas Koretzer found that page. And Pinchas Koretzer found that page. And he was very upset. And he was thinking, Pinchas was talking about the Baal Shem Tov, that by the Rebbe this would never happen. A page of Chassidus ending up on the street, on the floor. He was makpid against the Mezritcher Magid. And the teichen of the Kpeda was that the Mezritcher Magid is not careful. He's teaching Chassidus to what we would call in Yiddish culture, abi verdikes, unqualified, undeserving people. And the Pinchas was upset. And the Pinchas Koretzer walks into the Beis HaMedrash holding this piece of paper, right? What happens next? What happens next? Anybody? The Alter Rebbe sees him. And the Alter Rebbe sees he's upset. And the Alter Rebbe understands why he's upset. So he walks over to Pinchas Koretzer and he tells him the famous story with the Even Tev Shebekesed HaMelech, with the prince who's dying, right? And they have to take the crown and they smash it up and they take out the stone and they grind it into a powder and they give it to the prince and they save his life, right? Everybody knows that story. So the Rebbe told the story to Pinchas Koretzer and he said, what does that mean? There was a kpeda against Chassidus. In times of the Mezritcher Magid. What was the kpeda? Anybody? That he's revealing too much. Right? It was revealing too much. And the Mezritcher Magid's life was pashat in sakona, as they stated in the Siches, in the Friedrich Siches. So the Alter Rebbe told the story with the Even Tev HaMelech and he removed the kpeda. So the Rebbe continues. The next generation, the Alter Rebbe goes to jail. When the Alter Rebbe is sitting in jail, he's visited by his Rabbeim, right? By the Mezritcher Magid and the Baal Shem Tov. And the Mezritcher Magid and the Baal Shem Tov visit the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe says, why am I sitting in jail? And they answer him, what do they answer him? You're spreading too much Chassidus. You're spreading too much Chassidus. So the Alter Rebbe says, okay, I'll stop. And they said, no. If you get out of here, you should reveal more. Am I telling you anything you don't know? Anybody? You know all of this, right? So the Rebbe said, what was the kpeda? The Mezritcher Magid already had a kpeda. And the Alter Rebbe removed it. So why in the next generation is another kpeda? So the Rebbe said, because the Alter Rebbe revealed more. And you reveal more, the Tzaddik Keneged is a bigger taina. But then the Rebbe added words. What is the taina of the Tzaddik Keneged? The taina, how could you have a taina revealing Chassidus? Chassidus is a good thing. Chassidus is a good thing. How could you have a taina for revealing Chassidus? Chassidus is a good thing. Girls, what's the answer to that question?
Was it the right time?
Okay, that's a good answer, but there's a better answer. That we weren't using it. That we weren't using it. The Alter Rebbe is revealing Chassidus, that's a good thing. But if the Alter Rebbe reveals Chassidus and we don't learn it, that's where the Kpeda comes in. The Bezitcher Magid went to jail almost, because he was revealing Chassidus and apparently they didn't do it enough. The Alter Rebbe went to jail B'Poyel. The Mittler Rebbe went to jail B'Poyel. Why? Because they were revealing more Chassidus, but the Kpeda wasn't that they were revealing Chassidus. The Kpeda was that they were revealing Chassidus and Chassidim were not using it well enough. Should I say it again, or you got it? I'm saying it again. With the Bezitcher Magid, when the Alter Rebbe went to jail, and the Mittler Rebbe went to jail, this is how it's explained in the Sichos. This is what the Rebbe said the year earlier, in 1985 to 86, Tafshin Mem Vav, that the Chassidim did not use the Chassidus that the Rabbeim gave them. And because the Chassidim did not use the Chassidus that the Rabbeim gave them, the Kpeda on the Rebbe. You got it?
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to our generation, the Fashtunkene Deira Shvi after the Holocaust. Tuesday, Chamisha B'Teves, Tov Shin Mem Zayin. Girls, nobody should trust me. Take out the Sikha and look it up yourself. The Rebbe says, you listening? You're listening? The Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe says, there's a taina against Agudas Chasidei Chabad. There's a complaint against Agudas Chasidei Chabad. We are, every Lubavitcher is a member of Agudas Chasidei Chabad. The taina is, as Agudas Chasidei Chabad, there's nish genug active, and we're not doing enough. And because we're not doing enough, that's why there's a Maisa with Sforim. Just like by the Alter Rebbe, right? You listening? Yeah. Just like by the Mittler Rebbe, there was a taina. And then the Rebbe, our Rebbe, continues. And he says, straight out, quote, it's impossible to say that we haven't done enough. The Alter Rebbe's Chassidim didn't do enough. You listening? The Mittler Rebbe's Chassidim didn't do enough. And our Rebbe says publicly, and I beg you not to trust me, take out the Sikha, there's an audio, there's a video, and there's a Hanacha. It's not Muga, but there's a transcript of this. The Rebbe says it's impossible to say in our generation that we haven't done enough. In other words, the Rebbe, who's a pretty good judge, you think the Rebbe's a pretty good judge? I think he's a pretty good judge, yeah. Said, the Alter Rebbe's Chassidim didn't use the Chassidus enough. The Mittler Rebbe's Chassidim didn't use the Chassidus enough. You cannot say about us, Deira Shvi, us, that we haven't used the Chassidus enough. So then the Rebbe had a kasha. Why did I go to jail? Why would there was a Maisa with Sforim? By the Alter Rebbe, we understand why. The Alter Rebbe revealed a lot of Chassidus. The Chassidim didn't use it well enough, so there was a Kpeda. By the Mittler Rebbe, the Mittler revealed on Ashir Chassidus. The Mittler Rebbe gave Chassidus without any limits. The Chassidim didn't use it, so there was a Kpeda, so the Mittler Rebbe went to jail. But you cannot say about our generation, this is what the Rebbe said, girls. You cannot say about us, about our generation, that we didn't use the Chassidus that we were given enough. So why was there Kpeda? Why did the Rebbe go to jail? Why would the Sforim taken? You hear what the Rebbe is saying? The Rebbe is saying, and I'm going to say it in a very grob way, that we're better than the Chassidim, the Alter Rebbe. No, we're not. We're a little Buddhishkes. But in this aspect, that the Alter Rebbe Chassidim didn't use the Chassidus that they were given enough. That the Mittler Rebbe Chassidim didn't use the Chassidus. And the Rebbe said explicitly, and I beg you for the fourth time, please don't trust me. Take out the Sikha and look and see it inside. The Rebbe says, it's unmöglich zu sagen. It's impossible to say about us, our generation, Deira Shvi, that we didn't use the Chassidus that we were given enough. So then why did we go to jail? Why would the Sforim take? This was the kasha that the Rebbe asked on Tuesday, Chamisha B'Teves, Tov Shin Mem Zayin. Now today is only Gimel Teves, but it's the same day of the week, Tuesday. And the Teves that the Rebbe gave, Kindalach, is the answer that the Rebbe gave. They said, the only answer I have. The Rebbe said, I have a kasha. I don't have a teretz. The only answer I have is that we did more than we expected to. But the Eibishter wants even more. That's what the Rebbe said. The Eibishter wants even more. That was the Rebbe's teretz. To say that with the Sforim were taken because we didn't do enough, you can't say. Impossible. So then why would the Sforim taken? Why did this whole thing happen?
It's too far.
So the Rebbe said, because the Eibishter wants it, we should do even more. So here's our Rebbe standing in a room full of his Chassidim, And believe me, the Rebbe has a pretty good idea who the Alter Rebbe's Chassidim were. And he has a pretty good idea of who his Chassidim are. And he says, Bepeh Mole. But the Alter Rebbe Chassidim, they didn't use it enough. By the Middle Rebbe Chassidim, we didn't use it enough. We did! So Rebbe say, why were the Sfarim taken? Because the Eibush is sending us a message that we should do even more. Now fast forward 36 years, right? Since Mem Zayin till Pei Gimel is 36 years. Right? Twice Chai for the Derech Rishumas and the Derech Chamuris, whatever makes you happy. Yeah? The Rebbe is saying, the Eibush made this whole situation. Amazaltan Nach. Now, I don't want to interpret this. I really don't want to. I don't want to say what the Rebbe meant. But look at Lubavitch today and look at Lubavitch when the Rebbe spoke those sichos. What has happened in the last 36 years? Bizaltan Noch. Realize the Rebbe had been a Rebbe exactly for 36 years. If you think about it. If you start counting the Rebbe's Nesiyas from Tov Shin Yudal, Mem Zayin is 36 years. Now it's twice 36 years. Think about what's happened in the 36 years since then. Bizaltan Noch. Lubavitch should do more. So kinderlach, girls. One of the great mistakes that happens by people when it comes to Chamisha B'Teves is that we get caught up in the physical facts. The tragedy of the Rebbe's family is so painful. You know, I heard that the Rebbetzin, someone walked into the Rebbetzin, Memches Take. The Rebbetzin passed away 2 months later. Somebody walked into the Rebbetzin Chamisha B'Teves 1 month later and said that the Rebbetzin got Yom Tov, and the Rebbetzin said, in der Stube das nicht kein Yom Tov. In this house is not a Yom Tov. That's what I heard. I've since heard other versions of it, so I don't know if this is true or not, but it sounds like the Rebbetzin, she was that sharp. In der Stube des Nishka Yom Tov, the family was torn to pieces. The family had been torn to pieces. The Friedrich Rebbe's Kinder, it's so impossible to understand. It's so impossible to understand how this happened with the Friedrich Rebbe's daughter and the Friedrich Rebbe's grandson, and really it begins with the Friedrich Rebbe's Rebbe's. It's impossible to understand. And it's foolish to be caught up in this parsha because we'll never ever understand it. The idea that people think of the Sfarim as books and a building, it was about books. It was about a building. I mean, I'm sure you know the story. The story in very, very brief. In the court case, the judge calls it dues. Chassidim gave Maimed. There was no official amount. Everybody gave Maimed whatever they wanted, whatever they could afford. But the Rebbeim took Maimed. The money of Maimed was officially for the personal eitzah of the Rebbe. The money of Maimed was for the personal needs of the Rebbe. And with this money, the Rebbe lived. Our Rebbe, the Rebbe of Gesundsein, people gave him Maimed, but he never took it for himself. The Rebbe didn't take Maimed, he gave it to Tzedakah. He never took the Maimed for himself. The Rebbe and the Rebbetzin lived like Joseph Lushkin writes in his book, on a $6,000 a year annual salary. Lived like poor people. It's very strange. I don't know what to say. The Rebbe and the Rebbetzin lived like Adamah-like, mamish, like poor people. They had a very limited budget, and they wouldn't take a penny for themselves from a person mufrach. They were very, very careful. The Rebbe and the Rebbetzin. The mamish lived. All the Rebbeim lived nice. The Rebbe and the Rebbetzin lived like poor people.
Did Chabad buy their house?
The house didn't belong to them. It belonged to Merkez. The house was not theirs. It never was theirs. It was Merkez. But the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin lived. They couldn't afford to fix their house, Pashat. I know stories. The Rebbe and the Rebbetzin lived on a limited budget, and they wouldn't. I mean, what would Chassidim not do for the Rebbe? He wouldn't take a penny. But the Rebbeim are going to Maimed. Now, if the Rebbeim took Maimed, and they bought things with the money of Maimed, arguably what they bought with the money of Maimed was personal. The Friedrich Rebbe came to America, and as soon as he got here, he incorporated Lubavitch. When the Friedrich Rebbe bought 770, he immediately made it the property of a guch. It's not his. When the Rebbe brought his library here, he officially registered as a library of a good Chabad. He made it public. Their taina was that was for tax purposes. And the Rebbe's taina was the Friedrich Rebbe is a ganav. He's evading taxes, mamish. The Friedrich Rebbe is a ganav. He's trying to save himself a few dollars, so really 770 is his private property. Really the library is his private property. He made it a guch because he's saving money. This is how dirty it got. This is what it came down to. And the Rebbe said the Frierdiker Rebbe made it public because it's public. Finished. And then there's the whole pnimius that it was always public. In other words, even by the earlier Rabbeim, where the Rabbeim did not officially make it the property of the Chalav Anash. When you gave the Rebbe money for Maimed, you gave the Rebbe money for Maimed in the words of the Rebbetzin, because the Rebbe belongs to the Chassidim. If the Rebbe belongs to the Chassidim, so the property of the Rebbe belongs to the Chassidim. But in America, the Rebbe made it official. And this is what the fight was about in Das Tachten, in Chitzonius. But if you or I, especially you, because for you this is, it's important for me also, but it's more important for you. When you think about a Teves, you think about books, you're thinking about a building, you're missing the whole real truth. The truth is, this is a shaila of Oid Yosef Chai. That's what it's a shaila about. Is the Rebbe's life a physical life? And if the Rebbe's life is a physical life, when the physical kuf is not available, it's finished? Or is the Rebbe's life, like it says in Tanya, Avos Hashem and Yirus Hashem and Emunas Hashem, which has no hefsek? And this is what the Kitrug was. This is what the Kitrug was. Now understand, according to the Rebbe, there shouldn't have been a Kitrug. Why shouldn't there have been a Kitrug? Because we certainly did enough. The Alter Rebbe Chassidim should have done more. The Middle Rebbe Chassidim should have done more. The Rebbe said about us, our generation, you cannot say we didn't do enough. Not of a then, they wanted us to do more. Do more in what way? In the area of Eid Yosef Chai. And the idea that the life of a Rebbe is not a physical life, Ubemel, there's no hefsek. There's no hefsek. This is Chamisha B'Teves, girls. Why is it a big holiday? It's not about books. Go buy books Thursday. I have a problem. Because in this respect I'm old. And my son says to me, one of my children is going out of town, you have to buy them Sfarim and Achei Temimim, because mitzvah sayeb is Sfarim. It's true. You're supposed to buy Sfarim and Achei Temimim. My children are very religious about it. Unfortunately, I'm not so religious about it because I have a chassadim. I'm wrong. Hey, Teves, Chamish, but you have to buy Sfarim. But what's it about?
Learn that.
It's about the Rebbe. It's about Oid Yosef Chai. Learning this Sfarim is also very important. Chanukah is about candles. I'm asking you. Chanukah is about candles. Chanukah is about Chanukah is about Mesiras Nefesh. Everybody understands that. Chanukah is about Mesiras Nefesh. The Mesiras Nefesh is the reason the candle that should have burned for a day burned for 8. It's about Mesiras Nefesh. Chamisha B'Teves isn't about Sfarim. Chamisha B'Teves is about Oid Yosef Chai. And how important is that for you? How important is that for all of us? We have a Yom Tif. We have a day, which is a Yom Tif. And for the third time, do not even think about saying Tachlin on Thursday. What is this Yom Tov about? This Yom Tov is about that the life of a Rebbe is not a physical life. Now, 36 years ago, you could have said, well, the Frierdiker Rebbe lives in the Rebbe. But today, we all know exactly what it means. We all know exactly what it means. Because we see it, we live it.
It's about Oid Yosef Chai?
Yes.
So on a practical level, what does that mean?
On a practical level, it means this is the ultimate day of Hiskashrus. It's the ultimate day of Hiskashrus. Now, Hiskashrus is always a funny thing. You think Hiskashrus is funny for you because you never met the Rebbe. Hiskashrus is always funny. You know why it's always funny? And I've said this to you before. You've heard this from me. One of the things that I try not to do is lie. When you looked at the Rebbe, you saw a goof, a bus of Adam. It's impossible, unless you're yourself a Rebbe, to look at the goof of a Rebbe and see what it really is. A kus. I promise you that when we were in 770, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, we forgot we were standing in whose presence we were standing. Because it was a bus of Adam. We were so blinded, we were so spoiled. It was so easy. Okay, so the idea, there's a story, there was a chassid named Rabbi Alter Simchovich. The Frierdiker Rebbe came to Eretz Yisrael and he had a yeshiva, he was the mashpia in Teves. And they were nice boys, Chassidish Abacharim, they were Yerushalayim Abacharim, they were not around the Rebbe a lot. And when the Frierdiker came to yeshiva to verbring and upfassen sich after Tisha B'Av, he said, in my Chassidus, when the Rebbe left, Rabbi Alter was beside himself, he was screaming at his Bachrim. Was hat gesehen? A nose hat gesehen. A lakus hat gesehen. What did you just see? A nose? You saw lakus. It's the same test for you and the same test for me. My father and my aunt, and her older brother, were born in the 1930s in Moscow. They should be mental cases in baskets, in wheelbarrows. You understand? They should be total losers. Their life was impossible. They had a crazy, crazy life. They got married, they had families, and they're unbelievably successful people. But they went through Shivim and Gehenna. The Rebbe was their father. Mamish. The Rebbe had time for them. The Rebbe, my father told me that he came to the secretary and said, I need an hour. An hour with the Rebbe. So he says, okay, but you're going to go in last. And the Rebbe spent an hour with my father. And I believe personally, it's because my father was an orphan. My father was a Yosem. The Rebbe took care of that generation. My aunt told me once, the Rebbe stopped her in the street. She was a 16-year-old girl. Was machst du? Was macht der Tate? 10 minutes. He spoke to her on the sidewalk about school. The Rebbe was a father to that generation. And I believe, I really believe, if not for the Rebbe, there'd be nothing from them. I wouldn't be born. There'd be nothing. They were so crazy. The Rebbe held them and gave them a moon in themselves and allowed them to get married and to build families and to Baruch Hashem, to go on shlichus in many cases. So I used to complain to my father, he had all this, the Rebbe gave me so much attention and the Rebbe didn't give me any attention. My father didn't have words to say, you Meshuggah spoiled American chocolatniks. You know where I come from, you know where you come from? I mean, the comparison is so foolish. But he said to me, Yossi, which generation gave the Rebbe more shluch? Mine or yours? In percentage. How physically close you are to a Rebbe does not determine your degree of iskashus. The Rebbe said that. Sometimes the people far away have greater iskashus, and the people closer miss it. Because iskashus are pneumistic thing. Again, the beginning of iskashus is action. The beginning of iskashus is ma'aseh b'peil. The end of iskashus is nafshei kshura ben nafshei. It's a very deep, pneumistic spiritual thing. It's going to take you your whole life. When you're an old lady in Mitzvah Hashem, you'll be a bigger makusha than you are now. Maybe you'll make less noise and you won't be outwardly so chassidish, but the neshama connection is going to deepen and deepen and deepen and deepen. This day is the Yom Tov of Iskashus. This day is the Nesinas Koyach. For, like the Rebbe, Lefleit Gedel, all the oasis that the Rebbe used. Right, we're in Mitzrayim. And that the head to give life to the Jewish people. All of these oasis that the Rebbe used in regard to today, to this day, to Chamisha Teves, they're all deep and important. So you ask me what to do? buy books. That's what you should do. Buy books. But think about it. Verbring about it. About the idea of iskashus. And you're young, you have much more koyach than I do. You have much more tmimis than I do. You have much more will than I do. But you'll get old, you'll start realizing that you lose all of those other things, but you gain a little bit more pnimis. Iskashrus is one of the deepest things. It's not simple, and it's not easy. It's real. And this day says the guf, it's not the issue. It's the nafshei, should have been nafshei. Am I answering you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's a little hard.
Yeah, of course, it's a lot hard. Not a little hard, it's a lot hard. So practically buy books, as I told you. Okay, girls, we're out of time.